Hello everyone, welcome to today's Knowledge webinar, Transforming 3D Designs into Commercial Success with Studio 3DX. Discover how Studio 3DX revolutionizes 3D sharing on the web by bridging creativity with commerce. Learn to transform your innovative 3D concepts into compelling web-based 3D experiences, winning tenders, securing clients, and standing out in a competitive market. Today's webinar presenter, Messios, is an architect, engineer, and the co-founder, CEO of Studio 3DX. He is advancing architectural innovation for smart cities. His expertise lies in building web-based solutions, leveraging the latest technologies, and solving the latest problems in the field. And now let me show you a little bit about our catalog where you can find Studio 3DX. Just search Knowledge.com and then you can search any product you wish. Knowledge is changing the way designers purchase 3D software, offering more choices, more freedom, best advice, and faster service. Check us out at Knowledge.com. Now I will share Mario's screen so he can show us incredible footage today of 3D Studio 3DX. There you go. We see your slide, Marius. Take it away.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Hello, and thank you for this webinar today by Knowledge and for joining us for this special one. So today we're going to see how we can transform the way we approach 3D design and introduce workflows that extend the lifetime of your 3D models. Studio 3DX is a 100% web-based solution that handles big and complex 3D models. You can share and collaborate on the web with a simple link. But what does that mean exactly? It means that we are introducing a complete life cycle of your 3D models throughout the design and collaboration between your team or even and especially your clients. And what makes us different from other web-based solutions is that this experience is interactive and the models you bring on the web are running smoothly without compromising the quality of your work. Now, this is one of my favorite examples of a 3D scene, and we're going to have a look at it in 3D later on. It's a replica of a modernist house in Capri called Casa Malaparte, and I did a redesign in Rhino, then I took it to Substance Painter. I did all of the detail painting, and then to Blender for some final details. Those details are vegetation, the trees, the rocks, the water, and so on. And the design doesn't stay within a screenshot or is archived after the rendering production. And that's what makes this extends the lifetime of your designs. Now, designers can bring their designs from any design or rendering software to create an environment, share it with anyone, and connect with their team and clients. So we're going to have a look at the specific file format we are focusing on later on. We are design agnostic. That means that you can bring any kind of geometry from any industry and expect it to be optimized and be able to share online. We also offer training to help you prepare your designs for the web, and the same does our partner system. We also mentioned collaboration, and to make that clear, we actually mean your client or your team member is inside the same scene with their own avatar. We'll see more of that later on. It's all hosted under one link, and that means it's dynamic and it can be shared on any device to transform your online presence. You can share it with your social media, on your website, blogs, anywhere that you can share a link. The two main markets that we have presence in is architecture and yacht design, and that's what we will focus on mainly today. But we will also look at a few examples from other industries, aerospace, product, automotive, and so on. Now, if you're ready to get started, I like to make my presentations a little bit interactive and in real time. So what I will do, I will share the 3D design within Studio 3DX, but also share a link with you all so that you can jump on a scene with me. I already shared it in the chat, and if we can make it live for everyone, that would be awesome. All right. So now I'm going to switch to Studio 3DX. And we're going to jump right into a 3D scene. This is another one of my favorite designs. It's a catamaran. And what I did was to take it quickly to Blender and add a sea layer with a nice texture on it and make it look realistic and into the infinity. So what you're looking at now is within the 3D viewer, this is an interactive scene. And first of all, what you would like to do is to add some environment settings. And to do that, you can choose from a list of HDRIs. Now we have the pure sky. We can switch to another one. We can go for another pure sky that has a little bit of a different effect. As you can see, it can be used as the environment alone, but also as the background, or you can choose between different kind of colors. Now, in this case, I think the skylight fits quite well. I'm going to choose the other one. Makes it a little bit more afternoon Italian style. And you will see here that we also offer the opportunity to introduce a little bit of fog. This works quite smoothly if you add a white color in the background. So you can introduce the fog that will seemingly blend the sea with the sky. So all of these small effects really do make a huge difference of how everything blends together. Now I'm going to switch to the catamaran, the catamaran party scene, and there you will see that what we have here is also in real time, meaning that our shadows are not baked from before or prepared beforehand, but they are rendered in real time here. So any changes you do here on Studio 3DX is automatically saved. So even if you have a client on the call and they're already in the scene and you want to change something quickly last minute, they just quickly have to refresh and that would do the trick. So in here you see, because this is on an island in Italy, in the south of Italy, we need to add a little bit of a sun color. I like to add a little bit of orange and make it into an afternoon scene. I have also ambient occlusion enabled, which is a little bit of advanced settings. It takes its toll on the memory of your web browser, but sometimes when you want to show the detail in the shadows, in the corners, you would want to turn that on. You can also reduce the quality of it and adjust it accordingly to your clients. Well, you have to have in mind your clients' hardware that they are using. Generally, I don't use it when I want to share a link, but I do that when we're having a conversation within the same scene. Now, setting the view is also important because you want your client to land on the specific view and not just orbit around the scene. And then I'm going to switch back to actually, I'm going to choose another one. I have a really nice apartment here. And I want to demonstrate what we mean as a real-time scene. So I'm going to copy this link and create another duplicate of this. So as you see quickly here, we have two scenes of the same 3D model, and then we have our avatar flying over one of these models. That makes it, this real-time scene that you can collaborate, have a discussion on, and making sure that you're both looking at the same thing, which is sometimes the case when you want to share something online. Now, this model was, again, fully rendered, prepared from before, but also, highly detailed and low poly. So if you really zoom in and go, you will see that it was optimized for the web a little bit more rationally. If I would do it, I would add a little bit more complexity, but nonetheless, you convey the message of how this apartment, feels and what is going on inside. One other option that we have, and it's quite important, is that you can actually follow one another, and that makes it quite useful when you want to show something to your client, but your client doesn't know how to navigate, doesn't know to orbit or pan, all of those tools that designers think that they are obvious. In some cases, they are not for the client. Let's unfollow that quickly. We're going to switch on this. You also see here that we have a join option that you can tell. If you do that, let's try it quickly. We might have a conflict with our webinar here. So let me mute it and switch off the camera. But that would essentially, anyone that is in the scene and you share your link would also be able to switch on video and audio and have an interactive conversation while you're in the same scene. These scenes are also could be enabled to have password protection and authentication required, and that makes it quite useful if you want to share your models. You want to have a password or rotate some passwords in case you're sharing them with a bigger audience. Now I'm going to start a little bit show you around of this workflow that I did with going from Rhino into Blender. It's a little bit technical, but I think sometimes it's useful to show designers how we come about with all this detailed design and also to the web. File sizes matter and the complex of the geometry. So, most of these cases we try to optimize as much as we can beforehand, before going to the web, but that shouldn't restrict us in a sense. If we want to show something detailed, then we should focus and pay attention to that. So if we look again at this custom apart example, what I have here, I brought my design I did initially in Rhino. So as you see, I brought a sample of the terrain, and I did that by using this amazing tool that I have been using for the last year or so. It's called the World Creator. And you can connect with an API, I think with a couple of services, and you can stream the location data for a specific terrain, and you can use that to start your own, mountains and preparing your terrain within any kind of worlds you want to set up. I'm not going to go into too detail into this one, but there are a few parameters that are quite nice. You can level the terrain, so you can start positioning a building. You can exaggerate a little bit the terrain in order to make it a little bit more visually realistic. And what I did was I imitated how this exact location for the casa looked in real life. And then I exported this to FBX. I took it to Rhino, and I replicated my design based on that terrain. This is one-to-one scale of the original size of the original design, but I didn't do any rendering within Rhino. Mainly the reason is that I use Substance Painter to give me the ability to actually paint and go through cracks on the wall and plaster falling. And because this building especially is 100 years old, you need to have access to those tools to do that. But that shouldn't restrict you. You can choose whatever tools you want, and that's what we want to emphasize in this webinar, is that you can go from any kind of design software to rendering software, and it will still be valid to prepare it for the web. So in my case, what I do in my workflow, I take any design that I do And as a final step, I take it to Blender. And this is where I add a few things. So I do check my materials. I do some applications, last minute applications on my materials. And then I add my vegetations here. So the reason I do that is because I can instance my vegetation and my trees and landscape and rocks. And surprisingly, this is quite a light model because I use three type of trees, and a couple of vegetation. And what I do is I quickly duplicate linked, and that means that they are instanced and it's not taking its toll in re-rendering another geometry. So the file size again makes a difference by instancing objects around your design. So I do that for the trees, I do that for the rocks. This is one type of rock I used quickly to just rotate, scale. If you don't change the underlying geometry, then you should be able to duplicate, link any kind of asset you want to bring to the web. Then I also use Blender to blend some last minute additions, so introducing a speedboat, or in this case I brought a bicycle somewhere here, here at the entrance. Let's select that one. Yeah, some small additions that I know will make a difference visually, and you would do the same when you want to do a rendering, either being an image render or animation, video, and so on. So we want to emphasize that we don't want you to strip down your designs. So do proceed by adding anything you want to add that makes it look visually pleasant, but also to satisfy your client and convince them that what you're looking at now could be the reality of your project. So now I'm going to switch a little bit back onto the Studio 3DX. There's a few tools that I haven't showed yet. I think it would be cool to do that on this building. So we have a section plane. That makes it easy to, go into any kind of geometry and showcase places that would be difficult to navigate, orbit, or even walk around. And you can do that on any kind of geometry and angle of your building. Let's find a weird one, for example, in this case. Let's do it on this baluster here. Okay. A weird choice, but still a choice. Maybe you only want to get into this room quite effectively. Now, the most used tool that really helps in communication is the comments one. So in this case, I have a couple of comments, but I think I'm going to switch on to another building that I quite enjoy. And this is a fully rendered design that all of the rooms have textures and materials, and it's highly detailed. You even have solar panels on the top, have a little bit of reflectivity. So comments in this one are quite essential because they are used as hot points of interest, but also as comments and threads. So if you do click on one, you would be navigated to that specific location, and you can start a conversation directly within here. So let's change the car. So anyone that is authenticated to comment, either being your client or any team member, will be able to quickly comment onto something and even resolve comments. Now, the reason that this kind of structure is quite important is that first of all, you give access to your client to show him specific places, so use it as annotations, but also as a communication tool on top of that. So these 3D comments, they exist in the space without any attachment to the 3D model, meaning that if you do decide to act on those comments and you go back to your design software and you did your changes and you want to bring a new one, you just delete this model that you have right now and the comments will still remain in the same place. And then you upload a new one, you basically version it, and then your comments will be there for you to resolve. So if this one is resolved, you just quickly resolve it, and that's it. Now, of course, this scene is quite a big one. And generally, we don't suggest that you enter everything within the building, but sometimes it is the case that, the clients or you're an artist and you want to show every little detail within the 3D space. It doesn't have to be architecture. It could be any kind of design, from mechanical to product to, even layouting the shops and so on. And in those cases, you do get a big file size. In this case, it was, if I'm not mistaken, a 450 megabyte file. And at the end, this is what you're looking at now. So we do further optimization online on Studio 3DX once you upload your file, and we make it possible to stream on the web. That doesn't mean that if you send this link to your client and your client has, a simple PC or a laptop or tries to fire it up on an iPad, it's going to take its toll. So we have to be careful from, what we share and how we share them online. Now I'm going to switch to the dashboard, introduce you of how this dashboard works, how the planning, the team structure, but also the community of designers that we are building is on the Studio 3DX. So first of all, what we have is our own scenes. Here you can have your own personal account and upload your own scenes. We have a community that we are building and introducing more and more public models to the web, which are always open to access for anyone, and that really helps in showcasing your designs as well. So we do promote it mostly for students, but also any kind of individual designer or architectural studio that wants to showcase their work in a public way. Then we have this team structure. I do have a lot of teams here, but I did one today that is for Knowledge, for the webinar. And once you do create a team, you can, let me quickly go back, you can invite anyone to that team. We start from SC3 licenses, and you can add as many editors as you wish on top of that. Now, once you do that, you create your own scene. I quickly named one here, plain. And for the sake of uploading, I'm going to choose this really quick, plain. It will take a second to upload, process, and then we will be able to open it in a new tab. Now you see the file formats that we're working on now is the IFC, GOP, and 3DM. But the focus, I would say, is on the GOP and the 3DM, especially the GOP could come from any kind of design and rendering software. It's an effective and optimized format for the web. And it really makes a difference when you want to have your textures, you want to have transparency, windows, all of that. That's why we do put all of the efforts on the GOP format. Now we uploaded our model quite quickly, 5 megabytes. and that's it. So it goes in the center of your scene, and you already get a pure sky environment. If you take the environment out, that's how it looks. So it's plain without any reflections. It doesn't have any effect whatsoever. But once you bring that, you can choose from different ones. And when they do have kind of transparency or windows, I like this autumn forest. It takes a second to load because it's downloading this HDRI. And there's another one I quite enjoy, very sunsets. Yeah. Let me show you around into a few other kind of scenes we have on the website. And this is everything online and available to you. You can choose your partner. You can find knowledge right down here for United States, and you can use that so that you will be assigned to knowledge, and they will follow up with reaching out for the studio and help you to onboard. Now, as I mentioned, we are complementing every workflow. So when we're trying not to change the way you do things, even if you go to KeyShot or Cinema 4D, any other kind of design or rendering software, we will be there to accommodate and complement your design workflow. I do have some other webinars, quite a little bit more detailed into technical terms, showing you how to prepare your geometry. There's a few things you need to know for transparency, some others about inverted faces and so on. These are common things you should check for the webinar, for the web. Now, to my earlier point, we have all of these scenes accessible, and you can just quickly view your product scene. You will see a case of a watch. Now you see that the loading times only depends on your download speed. So this model is quite a small one. That's why you get in a couple of seconds. This is the one we saw before. I added a plane. Actually, that's actually quite interesting. So I cheated a little bit and I didn't do a terrain. I just added a plane with an image on top of it. It gives the essence of having this, flying environment on top of something. Yeah. Now, as always, we do offer scheduling one-to-one demos, but also with your extended team. And we're always happy to do, to work with you, to do workshops in order to educate your team on how to prepare those models and take them online. That's it from me.
Thank you, Marius. Such beautiful scenes, and what a useful tool. So as Marius said, you can contact Novage anytime for any information. We'll be happy to assist you. And if you have questions now, since we have Mario here for a few extra minutes, you ask away. Don't be shy. This is the best chance you have to speak with the maker of Studio 3X himself. So and while we wait for a question, if there's any, I will take the screen back just to show you where you can find Studio 3X on our platform. And just go to novage.com, search for Studio 3DX, among other things. We also have Rhino that Marius mentioned, and all the tools for architecture and design. And Novage is changing the way designers purchase 3D software, just because we offer most of the tools you're going to need in one platform. And it's easy to get all of them in one go. So check us out at novage.com. And Marius, I don't see any question. You were absolutely clear. And we do love technical webinars. So don't be afraid always to. We never underestimate our audience. We know they're very self-sufficient and educated, and they want, always to get technical. So thank you for that. And I want to thank you again for joining us today and looking forward to more demos from Studio 3X. Have a great rest of the day, everybody, and rest of the night for you, since you are
Thank
in
you
the
very
time
much.
zone. Thank you again, and bye bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.